Gwinnett County Public Library's new mobile kitchen cart is making its way through different library branches this year, making culinary programs at the library much more interactive and engaging. We wanted to give you a sneak peek into a library program that may be held at your local library. Today, we'll be making brownies from scratch using our new mobile kitchen and pantry.
First, we'll start with all of the dry ingredients.
First, we're going to measure out 1 cup of granulated sugar. I noticed here when I was leveling the sugar that I was getting some of the excess sugar into the bowl, so I moved it over to the bag so that excess sugar gets put back into the bag and we don't mess with our measurements for our ingredients. Next is 1/3 cup of cocoa powder. I leveled this over the container to make sure I don't get excess into the bowl. Next, we will measure out a 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. Next, we will add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I leveled this out over an extra measuring cup so I didn't make a mess on the counter. The last ingredient is a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. The container has a built-in leveler, a flat surface that you can scrape the measuring spoon on. However, since mine was new, it was too full, so I couldn't use it and I had to improvise. Now that we have all our dry ingredients, we will whisk them together. This ensures that everything is evenly mixed before we add our liquid ingredients. Our first liquid ingredient is a 1/2 cup of butter that has been melted and then allowed to cool. This is about 1 stick of butter. Next, we will add the eggs. The recipe calls for 2 large eggs at room temperature. We will be using the egg beaters for this recipe, and the equivalent of 2 large eggs is a 1/2 cup. We'll measure that out and pour that in. Our last ingredient is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now we will stir the liquid ingredients into the dry ingredients. We noticed here that since we used the egg beaters and they were still a little cold from the fridge, it has solidified some of the butter. I'm going to start with the spatula and make sure that I mix it up as well as I can, and then we'll whisk the batter to make sure it gets nice and smooth. The whisk is working well to help make our batter more smooth. However, brownie batter will never be perfectly smooth like cake batter, so this looks just about right. Next, we will transfer the batter from the bowl to the pan. I used a spatula to make sure I got as much as I could. You may want to prep your pan by spraying it with oil. However, ours were non-stick already, so they're just fine the way they are. Level out the brownie batter inside the pan. You want them to cook evenly. If you get any spots of the batter on the edges of the pan, just scrape them off before putting them into the oven. We don't want those to burn. Place your brownies in a preheated oven to 350 degrees. These will bake for 20 to 22 minutes. Our oven runs a little hot, so we actually only had to bake them for about 18. At the end of cooking time, remove your brownies from the oven and test to see if they are done. I used a fork, but you can use a knife or a toothpick. Make sure that no batter comes out on the toothpick once inserted into the brownies. Our brownies came out perfectly. Allow them to cool for a few minutes before cutting up into pieces. Then enjoy! Thank you for joining us as we made brownies with our new mobile kitchen cart at the library. Keep an eye out on our online events calendar for more culinary and mobile kitchen cart programs at a Gwinnett library near you.